So what we're going to cover today is how I became an SEO. It's one of the top questions I get asked. I cover it in GMB Pros and how to scale your agency, in specific how I went from working for someone else, being a, if you will, a freelancer, to running a 7-figure agency, and now having this amazing team. About 20 years ago, I got started as an SEO. And how I got started essentially was because of along the lines, I had been a bookkeeper for a very long time, and then I essentially started going to school. I went to Kaiser University. I had never thought about doing web design, never thought about doing SEO, marketing, digital marketing, none of that. Didn't have the faintest clue, okay? The only other thing I had really touched in, if you will, digital marketing, I remember AOL, if y'all remember dial-up, getting the little CD in which I built my first website. All right, that's the first website I ever built. That being said, went to school, wound up, if you will, during this time in which I was going to school, the Professor John Downs, he's a good friend of mine as well, he basically gave us an assignment. We're going to build a website. I remember building a website. Even back then, we built the website. I remember getting paid for it. And I remember him at the end of it saying, hey, who else wants to learn more HTML, CSS, JavaScript? No one was excited to do this, okay? Because CSS and JavaScript and HTML is not something that's exciting. Everybody nowadays, they see a website, they build it with WordPress, and it's easy as shit, okay, to build a website nowadays. You can have a website up like that. Right? But what essentially happened, I wound up taking a break from school because I was married. I had 2 children, brand new baby boy on the way named Isaiah. And he's an up and coming. He's actually starting his own YouTube channel. Really proud of him. And my daughter's actually, I'm training her for business management. So that gives you a little bit of insight into my family as well. And then what wound up happening, I wound up taking on more clients, and I started picking up clients via Craigslist. If you don't know Craigslist, good old Craigslist days, I could post services, and I got phone calls coming in, and I would do websites, and I would do some SEO for $100 here, $200 there, $300 there, stuff like that. And I thought it was really cool because while I was still in school, I made, let's say, it's around $18,000, nothing crazy, but it was pretty cool to earn while I was in school. And then going through life, I wound up losing my job. And when I lost my job, I wound up having to go live with my mom and dad again. And I bring my family in, having to bring my kids in, everything, down in the dumps, didn't have nothing. And during that time, I started picking up more clients. And got to the point, wound up finding a good job and everything else, but then lost it. It was a constant up and down, up and down, up and down. But SEO kind of gave me that, if you will, fallback. I wound up going through a divorce, but during that time, lost some clients. I picked up everything. This specific client, I'm giving you the breakdown, but basically I got 6 years of SEO experience just from this one client, which we're doing medical. I picked up enough clients that during this one time, he asked me, he said, hey, we're going through rough times. I was one of the highest paid employees. And he said, can you take a cut? And I was able to say yes. Why? Because I had about $40,000 extra dollars a year coming in from SEO. I wound up having bariatric surgery to lose weight. If any of y'all have heard this story inside of my Google My Business Pros, you'd understand. But lost a lot of weight, had surgery, started working from home. At this time, I'm still pulling up clients from Craigslist, 200 there, 300 there. It's really difficult to get clients to pay for anything. I wound up moving to West Virginia. As in West Virginia, I had 2 of my largest paid clients. It was going great, doing auctions, bringing in extra money. I would flip things, sell things. All really cool. I loved auctions, bidding on auctions. At one point, I was even considering becoming an auctioneer, if you believe it or not. Now, that being said, I had this nice house. I had a Hummer. Had a Chrysler 300, had my own nice little pickup truck with the knobby tires and everything. It was wonderful. Everything's going great. Living in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, also in Paw Paw, West Virginia. Problem is, if you lose a job where you're at, you don't have no jobs there. You have to travel to Washington or Baltimore, etc. I'd planned on having a trip to, if you will, the Philippines. Bought the plane trip ticket, spent the $9,000 that it was going to cost to take my entire family here, round trip. And then during that same week, I lost both of my highest paid clients. And I fell into depression because, I have an entire family. I have bills out of the wazoo. I have 3 car payments or car notes, $1,600 a month rent payment. Everything just seemingly going the wrong way. At the same time, I was trying to buy a house and had A+ credit. Nothing was happening the way I wanted to, right? So I'm like, what am we going to do? We still come to the Philippines. I've already spent the money, can't get a refund because I got non-refundable tickets. Don't ever do that. Come to the Philippines, arrive in the Philippines, and as you can see from some of the pictures I'm going to show you here, I was living on a bamboo bed. This was not a great situation. We slept, as we could. No aircon, nothing, right? We're just sleeping on the floor, doing what we can. We started there, if you will. So what most people see today is not where we started. And then from there, my mother-in-law, God bless her heart, says, why are you so worried? You have a house here. You don't have to have the electric bill, the car bills, all these other bills that were waiting for me back in the States. And so at that point, I decided to move to the Philippines. And then my oldest daughter, trying to speed this up for you guys, but my oldest daughter winds up getting married, meets a Filipino man here, my son-in-law, and Benestino, and she gets married to him. He winds up giving us a business loan to start a laundry shop. Laundry shop's going good and everything. When I say going good, I mean we're making, let's say, $600 extra a month, every month. That's considered going good. Then on top of it, I became a virtual assistant. I started working remotely for people at night from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. my time, so it was on Pacific Coast Standard Time. So I was working at my night while they were awake. And this is where I came into the virtual assistant world, and I started learning and getting more respect, if you will, for virtual assistants. Did that, started, this is right all before COVID. And then my wife says, why don't you try to pick up some clients? Even my guy, John Signey, who actually hired me to become a VA, told me, why don't you start your own agency? You got 20 years experience. I didn't want to start my own SEO agency because I know running an agency or a business is not as easy as everybody thinks it is. It is actually a pain in the butt. That being said, I started taking on 3-4 clients. And the whole system that I teach on how to scale your agency, how to get clients, is exactly what I did to take my 4 little clients from where it was at to 50 clients within 3 months. And then we slowly build up. The house that you see, the pool that you see, the office that you see, the team that you see that I'm so proud of is not where we started at. So I built all of this from scratch through knowing SEO, through being taught SEO, and I self-taught myself. So a lot of guys are like, how do you get started in SEO? Start with your own website, start practicing, do your own content, do your own internal linking, and then you develop a system that works, and then when someone comes to you and wants SEO, you can do it for them. I remember my first SEO client, I built a website for them, got referred, and then they said, hey, can you do SEO? And I was like, well, what's it pay? And it said $2,000. I never even heard of SEO, and I went, shit, I'll do it for $2,000. And I started Googling that shit and learning. That's how I self-taught myself. So everything I've ever done, I've self-taught myself. We didn't have Chris Palmer, Holly Starks, Craig Campbell doing, YouTube and teaching people. unfortunately, at the time. So I self-taught myself. But through all of that, all those skills that I developed by myself, okay, over time, has led me from not being able to hold down a job, not having a good job, and being held paycheck to paycheck, and slowly picking up clients, is now hitting 7 figures and being successful as an agency owner and as a business owner, and having a team of SEOs and a team of web designers. And we're getting ready in the next few weeks. I'm taking the entire team, paid vacation, going to Cagayan here in the Philippines, because I love my team. My team are essentially my boys. I got 2 girls, so my boys and girls, I can't even say just my boys now. They're like my family. And that's a little insight, if you will, on how William O. Jones, or William Jones SEO, became an SEO. If you have any questions about SEO or how you could get started as an SEO, make sure to drop them below and I'll answer them. I love talking to people. I love asking questions and answering questions and helping you guys out as much as possible. Once again, if you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on that bell notification. And until next time, I will see you again. Be blessed.
I have so many SEOs that hate me and say that I'm still in their methods. They bitch and they cry, labeling me SEO Black Hat. I was a nobody, now I'm at the top. Most wanted, most loved, bad business owners, and hated by most SEO opponents. You think you're an SEO god, but you're an SEO fraud. Guess I'm the SEO devil, shouting fuck the SEO guys. White hat SEO doesn't make sense.